Shalom, 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 Israel. This is Captain Paul Israel from Kingdom Builders of Israel, LLC. And today's class topic is going to be on the prophets of the Bible are black men, part 2. Again, today's class topic is going to be on the prophets of the Bible are black men, part 2. Okay, Israel, so this is a good class topic to discuss due to the fact that many of our people are still lost in the sauce when it comes to the characters description on who they really are. Okay, so it's our job as the prophets of the Most High to bring this information out to show that our people, which are the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, that they are the people of this Holy Bible, contrary to what the media is projecting. Okay, so we're gonna let this Bible be true and every man a liar. Okay, so get out your pen and notepad, Israel. So this is gonna be a little quick, deep lesson. So hopefully you're gonna be edified with this. Okay, so we're gonna start out in the book of Jeremiah. Okay, the book of Jeremiah. Okay, and we know Jeremiah was a prophet of the Most High Yah. Okay, and he describes the characteristics as far as the description of the men of Israel. Okay, he did not mention nowhere, right, in his book that the tribe of Israel or the tribes of the Israelites were being white people. He didn't mention that. He mentioned that they were so-called black men, okay, with different variations of brown. Okay, because the deeper you dig into a ground, the darker it gets. Okay, and we brought that out in the book of Genesis, okay, in the part 1 video of the prophets of the Most High being black men, okay, or the prophets of the Most High are black men, part 1 video. We brought all that information out. So now this is just a rehashing in the book of Jeremiah, which was already reiterated when we read the book of Genesis on Adam description. Okay, so we're going to start out in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 14, verse 2. It says, Judah mourneth. And now, in this context, when it uses Judah or Judah, right, it says Judah mourneth. So Judah consisted of 3 tribes in general. Okay, because sometimes the Bible uses the word Judah interchangeably, meaning it could be Judah singular, but also it could use Judah meaning the southern kingdom of Israel. And the southern kingdom of Israel consisted of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, 3 tribes of the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, that's the southern kingdom, and the northern kingdom was the other tribes, okay, involving the other tribes of the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, so it says Judah mourneth. So Judah was going 3 tribes, the southern kingdom of Israel was going through a period of mourning, meaning a period of what? Trials and tribulation. And also you said, Jeremiah says, and the gates thereof languish, and the gates thereof languish. So when it uses the word the gates, it's going into the leadership of the children of Israel. Okay, so we're going to bring out precepts when it says the gates. So the gates in this context is talking about the leadership of the children of Israel, which consisted of the priests, the captains, the generals, the people or the counselors, and the judges that were set up to govern the house of Israel. Okay, it said thereof languish. So the leadership, basically what Jeremiah is saying, got weakened. Okay, fell away from Yahweh's law, statutes, and commandments. So that's what it says, and the gates thereof languish. So we got to know what this word language means, because in many cases the word language has different meanings. Okay, so we get the understanding that the word language had different meanings. Okay, but in the context that Jeremiah was trying to use, okay, goes into a different situation. It says, this is from dictionary.com. It says the word language, which we just read in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 14, verse 2. It says language, to be or become weak or feeble, droop, fade. And this is the context that Jeremiah was saying. And then so it also says to lose or vigor or validity. It says to undergo neglect or experience prolonged inactivity, suffer hardship and distress. So this is what the leaders began to become, inactive or undergo neglect, meaning they, like I said before, the leadership of the children of Israel did not follow Yahweh's laws no more. They fell away. Okay, they was inactive in really edifying the children of Israel. Okay, it says to be subjected to delay or disregard, be ignored. So again, they disregarded Yahweh's laws. The leaders of the southern kingdom, which consisted of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, they was no longer being put in a position to govern the house of Israel anymore, as far as in righteousness. Okay, and this is why Yahweh raised up prophet Jeremiah to teach the children of Israel, okay, to return unto Yahweh. But of course the children of Israel did not, and this is what the primary reason what led the children of Israel to go into slavery under the Babylonian Empire. Okay, so now we got that understanding of what the word language means. So now Judah, which is the southern kingdom of Israel, mourneth, meaning they was going through trials and tribulations, and the gates thereof languish, meaning the leaders of the children of Israel, right? The people that were supposed to judge and govern the city of the children of Israel in Jerusalem began to be weakened or had disregard to Yahweh's laws. And then this is the description now with Jeremiah, the prophet, is now going to explain what these particular leaders, who were the gates, right, which characteristics of appearance they look like. Okay, you're going to see Jeremiah say they look like so-called black men, and he describes them. Okay, it says Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. They are black. They are black unto the ground. Whoa, 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 wait a minute. This is in the Bible. Okay, contrary to what this Christianity movement is doing in modern day terms, but the Bible is saying what it's saying, that the Jews or the southern kingdom are black unto the ground. Okay, which we got the understanding in Genesis what that's getting into. When you go to Genesis chapter 2 verse 7, and Yahweh Elohim formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. So again, we brought out the dust of the ground. Instead of just saying dust of the ground, Jeremiah is saying black unto the ground. Because just like I said earlier, the deeper you dig into the ground, the darker the soil, darker the dirt gets. Okay, this is just facts. Okay, so Jeremiah is saying that Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, which are the southern kingdom of Israel, are black. Different shades of brown unto the ground. Okay, and it said, and the cry of Jerusalem is gone up, because children of Israel was doing what? Going into captivity, going through trial tribulations. Okay, at this time. Okay, so again, this is another cut to the Christianity faith doctrine that they're explaining that the Israelites are white people. No, that's not what the Bible says. The Bible says the Jews or the southern kingdom of Israel were so-called black men. Okay, so this is another cut to the Christianity faith. Okay, so now we got the understanding that the southern kingdom of Israel, the southern kingdom of Israel were so-called black men, right, described by Jeremiah, and he also has to include himself in that too as well, because he was a leader as well, as far as being put in a position to teach the children of Israel. Okay? Because he's trying to correct the situation what these leaders have failed to do. Okay? So he'll be in this situation too as well. So this is what you got to include Jeremiah as being black too as well. There's no way you can get around this, Christians. So now we go to the book of Psalms. Okay. Let's see. Let me see. Go to the book of Psalms. Nah, let's go to the book of Psalms. Go to, didn't mean to click on that. So now let's go to, okay, we already brought out the book of Genesis, the dust of the ground, or black unto the ground, saying the same thing. Okay, there's no confusion here. So we precept the dust of the ground to Jeremiah 14:2, black unto the ground. Okay, so now we got to understand that it's getting into the different variations of the darkness of the ground, the soil. Okay. Okay, now we go to Jeremiah. On Wikipedia, it says Jeremiah, even though they got him as a so-called white man, which is not biblical. It says Jeremiah, okay, also called the weeping prophet, was one of the major prophets of the Hebrew Bible, according to Jewish tradition. Jeremiah authored the book of Jeremiah, of course, the books of Kings, and the books of Lamentations. Okay, these are books that's in the Old Testament, of course. It says, with the assistance and under the editorship of Baruch ben Neriah, his scribe and disciple. So again, let's go to one more. It said, in addition to proclaiming many prophecies of Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, the book of Jeremiah goes into detail regarding the prophet's private life, his experiences, and his imprisonment. So, end of the day, Israel, we got to understand that the scholars know that Jeremiah the prophet wrote the book of Jeremiah, the book of the Kings, and the book of Lamentations, which is in the Old Testament. And also he had assistance from another gentleman named Baruch. And let's prove that he had a gentleman named Baruch help write the books as well that he, that he had written. Okay, which was described up here. Okay, now we go to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 36, verse 4. And also Wikipedia is going to have false imagery of Baruch right here. As you can see, they put Baruch as a white man. We know that's not true. Baruch, the prophet, was a so-called black man. Okay. Jeremiah, chapter 36, verse 4. It says, then Jeremiah called Baruch, the son of Neriah, and Baruch wrote from the mouth of Jeremiah. You see this? Let me read this again. The book of Jeremiah, chapter 36, verse 4. It said, then Jeremiah called Baruch, the son of Neriah, and Baruch wrote from the mouth of Jeremiah all the words of Yahweh, which he had spoken unto him upon a roll of a book. Upon a roll of a book. So they had books back then, Israel. Okay, so again, Baruch was used as assistance to write the words of the mouth of Jeremiah that Yahweh was telling Jeremiah to speak. So Baruch wrote information down for Jeremiah. Okay, which the scholars know based upon them putting this information in here. It says Jeremiah authored the book of Jeremiah, the books of Kings, and the book of Lamentations with the assistance and under the editorship of Baruch ben Neriah, his scribe and disciple. So Jeremiah had a basically personal disciple named Baruch. Okay, this is the same Baruch that has a book in the Apocrypha called the book of Baruch. Okay, or Baruch. Okay. So this is in the Apocrypha as far as the character named Baruch. But you'll have modern day Christianity and the Protestant church removing books out of the original Bible as far as the Apocrypha is concerned that mentions the book of Baruch. Okay, so again, we have a good precept, and also you have some Hebrew Israelite camps that don't even recognize the Apocrypha. But here you have a character that's mentioned in the Apocrypha here written in the book of Jeremiah named Baruch. Okay. And let's go to the book of Deuteronomy chapter 16 verse 18 to prove that the gates, what we read in Jeremiah chapter 14 verse 2, was going into the leadership of the people, because many people would say, oh, the gates, that's talking about something else. No, it's talking about the leadership of the children of Israel. And I'm going to prove it. This is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 16 verse 18. It says, this book of Deuteronomy chapter 16 verse 18, it says, judges and officers, which I brought out earlier, judges or counselors or captains and so forth are the ones that govern the people. It says, judges and officers shalt thou make thee in all thy gates. Whoa, wait a minute. You see this, Israel? It says, judges and officers shalt thou make in all thy gates. So we go back to Jeremiah. It says, Judah mourning, and the gates thereof languish. That's going into your judges, your officers, people that's put up in a leadership role. Okay, instead of Jeremiah describing it singular like judges and officers and counselors and so forth, he just said specifically the gates, because the children of Israel understood that when it's going into the gates, that's going into your leaders. That's why as we go to the law, Deuteronomy chapter 16 verse 18, judges and officers shalt thou make thee in all thy gates, which which Yahweh thy Elohim giveth thee throughout thy tribes, because this consisted of the tribes, the 12 tribes of Israel, and they shall judge the people with just judgment. So leaders were set up to judge the Israelites according to righteous judgments, according to Yahweh's laws. Okay, but in Jeremiah's time, because we just read the law, right? We read the law in the Old Testament as far as the law when it got first implemented about the judgment concerning the tribes. But in Jeremiah's time, the judges that were set up to lead the people fell away from the instructions. That's why it says the gates, or officers, judges, counselors thereof language, meaning they fell away from Yahweh's laws. Okay, this is in Jeremiah's time. But here we read a law. Here we read a law that was supposed to be implemented. So this is why Jeremiah used the word in all thy gates, because it's already understood that it was going into the judges and officers. So this is another proof on the leaders being was recognized as the gates. Okay, when we go back to Jeremiah chapter 14 verse 2. Okay, so now we got that understanding. Okay, this is in the law, Deuteronomy chapter 16 verse 18. There's no getting around this. Okay, now we go to Deuteronomy chapter 1 verse 15 to elaborate on when I said the chief captains and so forth, because remember Deuteronomy chapter 16 verse 18 said, throughout thy tribes, and they shall judge the people with just judgment. It's going to be specific to as well. Deuteronomy chapter 1 verse 15. It says, so I took the chief of your tribes, see, the chief of your tribes, wise men, meaning very knowledgeable men, and known, meaning they had a good name for themselves, and made them heads over you. Okay, captains over thousands, and captains over hundreds, and captains over 50s, and captains over 10s, and officers among your tribes. So again, Israel, you see this, Israel? This is how you break this Bible down in plain terms. So you can have captains over thousands, you can have captains over hundreds, and you can have captains over 50s, okay, or captains over 10. So when I name myself Captain Paul Israel, it's biblical. I do what this Bible says. And right now, you see on my YouTube page, I have almost 200 subscribers. So I'm following the Bible. That means I'm captain over hundreds, which you just read right here, and captains over hundreds. And this is in the law, the book of Deuteronomy chapter 1 verse 15. And also, you could probably put me captains over thousands, because not all people that watch my videos are subscribers. So I'm doing the works of this Bible. Okay. So that's why I say, Israel, you have to know this Bible to speak on the Bible. Okay. Because many people will just elaborate. Oh, you're giving yourself a self-title and all this other stuff. No, I ain't giving myself a self-title. This is what the Bible says. Okay. This is in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 1 verse 15. This is in the law book. There's no getting around this. Okay, you Hebrew Israelites that want to reject these type of terms as far as captain and officers. Okay, this is what the Bible says in the laws of Moses. Okay, we gotta let this Bible be true and every man a liar. Okay, so me, I follow this Bible. Captain Paul Israel from Kingdom Builders of Israel LLC, follow this Bible. And of course, I have many people that hate me because I speak truth. But I do have many that listen to me because they recognize I speak truth. Okay, and I have not deviated from the word of the Most High yet. Okay, I have not deviated from it. So all these people that want to run their mouth, I'm gonna prove all you wrong. All your doctrines that's outside this Bible, I'm gonna prove you wrong. Okay. So now we got the understanding that the captains and chief of the tribes and officers, these are what? Bible terms, Bible laws. Okay, this is common sense, people. Now we go to, of course, the book of Baruch, which I explained earlier, right? And we understand that when Yahweh sets up men to teach his word, they are basically been put in a leadership role. Okay, so now the book of Baruch is in the Apocrypha. Okay, this is show proof. It says the book of Baruch, this is on Wikipedia, is a deuterochronological book of the Bible. It says in some Christian traditions in Judaism and Protestant Christianity, it is considered not to be part of the canon. So the Judaism, the white philosophers of the Jewish community, they don't include the Apocrypha. Okay, they don't include the Apocrypha in their understanding. Okay, so, and also the Protestant Christianity, the more modernized Christianity, had removed the Apocrypha out of the original King James book. Okay, that's why it says it is considered not to be part of the canon. So they don't even consider the whole 14 missing books, which consisted of the books that we supposed to go by as well. It says with the Protestant Bibles categorizing it as part of the biblical Apocrypha. So they understand, the scholars know that the book of Baruch is a part of the Apocrypha. It is named after Baruch ben Neriah, Jeremiah's well-known scribe, who is mentioned at Baruch chapter 1 verse 1 and has been presumed to be the author of the whole work. So they understand that Baruch was the one that wrote the book of Baruch. Okay, and then they understand, the scholars know that that was Jeremiah, prophet Jeremiah, well-known scribe or disciple. Okay, so again, Israel, we have to get this understanding. Okay, now we're gonna go to the book of Jeremiah chapter 3 verse 15. This book of Jeremiah chapter 3 verse 15, it says, "And I will give you pastors according to mine heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding." You see what Yahweh has said? He said, and I will give you pastors. So Yahweh said, I'm going to give you pastors according to my heart. So the pastors of the Most High Yah are going to basically teach Yahweh's word. They're not going to deviate from the word. They're going to stay firm on the word of Yahweh, which is this Bible. And it said, which shall feed you with knowledge. Knowledge is these laws. Okay, and understanding, meaning how to judge righteous judgment, as far as the understanding how to deal with your neighbor, how to handle certain matters, consider how you could build the nation to push forward into righteousness. Okay, that's what it said, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. So this is what these videos are about, to feed you with knowledge and understanding, Israel. So now that we got understanding that Jeremiah mentioned that the southern kingdom of Israel was so-called black men, okay, and him himself included in that, okay. That's what a prophet is. A prophet is a leader. And also we got to understand that Prophet Baruch was one of the disciples of Jeremiah, right? And we know he was a black man if he rode with Jeremiah, okay? And also Baruch was an Israelite as well, okay? So there's no getting around this stuff. And also we go to Jeremiah's, let's go down. Okay, let's see. Jeremiah's lineage in early life. It said Jeremiah was the son of Hakajah and Kohen, basically a Jewish priest. And it said from the Benjamite village of Anath. So Jeremiah would be a Benjamite from the tribe of Benjamin, which consisted of the southern kingdom. Okay, so I had to do it the short form, but yes, Prophet Jeremiah would basically be from the tribe of Benjamin. In modern day terms, he'll be from the West Indies, okay, or the Virgin Islands situation, okay. But Jeremiah was a good prophet from the southern kingdom of Israel. Okay, so now that we got the understanding, now let's go to the next understanding about the prophets of the Most High are black men. This is just proof. Okay. Okay, Israel, before I can go to the next prophet, right? Because most of our people will say, prove that Prophet Jeremiah say he's a so-called black man. Okay, because you will have Egyptologists still pushing that the Bible is a white man book, even though we prove it in the part 1 video of the prophets of the Bible being black men video. We already proved that in part 1. This is part 2. So now we're going to get, because we read in part 1 video that Job was a black man. He said his skin was black. Now we're going to go to the prophet Jeremiah, where he say himself is a so-called black man, because you'll have Egyptologists still pushing that the Bible is a white man book. But we're going to prove time and time and time again that the Bible, the Holy Bible, the King James Version Bible, is a black man's book, or is a Hispanic Native Indian book as well. But primarily, of course, when we say black people, it's just a black person's book. It's the Children of Israel Bible. There's no getting around it. Okay, you Egyptologists, and also you modern day Christians that want to include all nations into this gospel when it's only speaking to our people, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Okay, as the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, I'm bringing out facts, data, statistics, and evidence. These people that's out there in the world are not bringing these things. They only bringing smooth words, but it's not even smooth, because it's a regurgitated doctrine of saying the Bible's white man's book from the so-called white man. It's just a regurgitated information that was fed to us by men that was not following this book, which is the Holy Bible. They was not following this book. Okay, so we're going to prove that Prophet Jeremiah was a so-called black man. Okay, we in the book of Jeremiah chapter 8 verse 21. Now this is going to be a cut, of course, to the Egyptologist doctrine, the Islamic doctrine, and also the Christianity doctrine, and any other doctrine that's out there that goes contrary to what this Bible is saying. This is the book of Jeremiah chapter 8 verse 21. It says, for the hurt of the daughter of my people am I hurt. So this is talking about the children of Israel when it says the daughter of my people, the children of Israel. And then it says, I am black. I am black. Hold up, wait a minute. Hold up, wait. What did prophet Jeremiah call himself? He said, I am black. So Jeremiah the prophet is saying he's a so-called black man. So this is a cut to the Egyptologists. This is a cut to the white Christianity movement. And this is also a cut to the black Islamic faith situation. Because their whole doctrine at one point in time was to denounce the Holy Bible and to say we're going to follow Islam. Okay, Islam is a black man's book. This is what the Islamic faith was teaching back in the 60s. But again, when you read this Bible in its proper context, Jeremiah is saying he is black. He said, I am black. Astonishment have taken hold of me. So what made an astonishment when Jeremiah said astonishment has taken hold of me? Why would he use those words? Because again, children of Israel was going through trial and tribulation back in Jeremiah's time. And then the word astonishment, okay, the definition, it says overpowering, wonder or surprise, amazement, an object or cause of amazement, a shocker. Because again, the children of Israel is Yahweh's people, but yet they're going through trial and tribulation. A lot of our people was dying off at this time, okay, for basically being disobedient. So let me read this one more again. Jeremiah chapter 8 verse 21. For the hurt of the daughter of my people, talking about children of Israel, am I hurt. So this is why they refer to Jeremiah as the weeping prophet. The weeping prophet, because he mourned a lot for his people. And then he says, I am black. I am black. Astonishment have taken hold on me. So again, this is a cut. Okay, so we're gonna slice and dice all these false doctrines and saying that this is a white man's book. But here we have prophet Jeremiah saying he is a black man. Okay, we're gonna let this Bible be true, every man alive. Even with this evidence that we're bringing out of Israel, you still will have people saying this.
No, 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 hell no, 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 I refuse, no, no.
But hey, we're going to continue cutting, slicing, and dicing these false doctrines. So now we're going to go to the next prophet of the Most High Yah. Okay, let's get to it.